Hello, gang. Hello, peeps, constituents, friends, foes, foe, feebles, fuckers, and friends of mine. So I didn't really have anything planned, but I'm going to do like a 1-2 minute video because I can't think of anything else at the moment. But Roger Wilcox, part 2. So I forgot one of the things about the house and the whole ordeal. The little girl, there was 2 kids, like I said. I was 14, the aunt was 19, and the little girl and the little boy were young. They were probably 8, somewhere around there. So the little girl was mental, right? So one day we're over there, and the little kids throwing kittens out the window. So that one, I don't know how I've forgotten that one, but yeah, they had a bunch of cats. They had a cat that had a litter, and I specifically remember the little girl throwing kittens out the window, and me and my buddy were down there catching them. Crazy shit, right? I just wanted to tell that part. So also, neighbor has a good story, but so I mentioned the guy that lived behind me, Master Paul Bates, and I didn't get to say it. Hopefully most people caught it. So Master Paul Bates is Master Bates. That was really the guy that lived behind me. No shit, honest to God. Master Paul Bates, Master Bates. So he's, he caught hell for that. So, like I said, I was Facebook friends with him up until a couple of years ago. I don't know what happened, but we're probably still friends. But you know the deal. If you only, it only keeps up with 25 people or whatever the deal is. So I don't hear or see from him. But that was, that was a crazy name, along with Roger Wilcox. Roger Wilcox III was the little boy's name. And so, the guy that lived behind me, Master Paul Bates, right? He had 2 Doberman Pinschers, and right at this time, we built a skate ramp in my backyard, a half pipe. Most everyone's gonna know what that is, what I mean by a half pipe, and if you don't, then just envision it, a half a pipe. So I had this kid, Todd Ruth, was from California, and as I think I've talked about, I'm not sure. So I had this kid in the neighborhood that was a year older than me, Todd Ruth, and he was from California, and he knew how to build skate ramps. So as I described, my house was the 3rd house in the neighborhood that was built, right? So there was construction all going on all the time, still into the days, because they had what they called a phase 1, phase 2, and phase 3. So I think it was phase 2 or phase 3 was being built in these days. And so I didn't take it from there, but that was going on in my neighborhood. And there was a house right outside my neighborhood that was being built. And so that's where I got all the wood from. I think, as I discussed, I stole about $500 worth of wood to build the half pipe in my backyard, right? So me and my buddy, Todd, are sneaking out every night, and we're loading plywood and 2x4s on our skateboards in the middle of the night, right? We snuck out every night of the summer at, I believe, 13, 14, somewhere in there. And this was even before the mental institution, by a good year, 2 years. So I had to be 13 or 14. So we stole all the wood from this to build our hot pipe in my backyard, right? And like I said, we would, plywood, it's kind of heavy, so we'd have to carry the plywood through from the house, through someone's yard, to the street to get them on our skateboards, right? So this is like, an all-night ordeal. We're literally, having to sneak out at night every night and, like I said, steal all this wood to build this half pipe. And so, like I said, this was an all-summer ordeal, collecting the wood. I remember it was like $500 worth of wood in what would be, think about that, like 1980 something, right? So, for those of you, most people know inflation. That $500 that took to build back then's, going to be $1,000, maybe closer to maybe even $2,000 this day and time. So we did that. We built the half pipe, and so Paul, Master Paul Bates, lived behind me. He had a fence in his backyard. He had 2 Doberman pinschers. My skate ramp was right next to right on the other side. Right next to my ramp was, a big tall wooden fence, and that was Paul's backyard, and he had 2 Doberman pinschers. Long story short, we're all the time get our skateboards are going over the fence, like, a lot, if you could envision. So, like every day, sometimes a couple times a day. So we're all the time having to climb the fence and go over there and run and, divert the dogs, because there were 2 Doberman pinschers that were outside always, all the time. And so we would have to, get our skateboards. Sometimes we couldn't get them. A lot of the times we couldn't get them. This fence was tall. It wasn't easy to get over. So there were times like that I was alone and my ramp with my board. I couldn't get over the fence alone. It was that tall, right? It wasn't real tall, but I couldn't get over alone. You'd have to get help.
Can I help you?
Christina Rusikoff.
Okay, looks like we have 2.
Yeah. Bear with me. Get Mama's medicine. So, like I said, I would have to get help to get over the fence. I couldn't get over it by myself, so it was a lot of times my ramp would have to stay there until his parents would get home or somebody would get home.
Okay, it's going to ask for your autograph on the first screen. $25 is the total.
Thank you very much. See you next time. Wow, that was weird. The first time I've ever gotten medicine from Publix, and they didn't ask me personal information all the time, every time. This first time they didn't. Maybe the lady recognized me. I've been here so much, but like I said, this is the first time that I've come here and gotten medicine without being asked personal questions, and I'm here all the time, several times a week. My wife gets all kind of different stuff, So that's what it is. So we stole all this wood, and my skateboards kept getting stuck over in Paul's backyard. I have to wait for his family to get home. We would, we would have to divert his dogs. Shame to say, but sometimes we would throw rocks at him. We would do whatever we could to get our skateboards back. So that wasn't that great of a story, but I'm gonna have to always tell you a funny one, good one, funny, bad, surprising. So you'll never know what to expect with me. Okay, so there's the crazy family, and then there's this kid I grew up with, Chris. We won't say his whole name, but anybody and everyone is gonna know who I'm talking about. This guy, Chris, lived across the street from me, okay? Chris was a year younger than me, and so this kid, Chris, he played baseball too. When I played baseball at the same time, we would toss the ball together. We was all the time doing stuff like that as a kid. Sometimes me and him would sit out in our driveway, and play tennis, baseball, just me and him, till 2 o'clock in the morning, like all the time, 12, 13, 14 years old, all in the years I played baseball. 9, 10, well, I didn't live there yet, but from 12 on, we was all the time kicking it and hanging out. So Chris was all right dude. He was a cool dude. And so Chris had this friend, right? So Chris had this friend that was beyond a weirdo. Okay, so we're all the time hanging out, me and this guy, and he's one of the neighborhood kids, and his house is right next to the pool and tennis courts. My house is across the street from it. He was diagonally across the street from me. Directly across the street from me, like I said, was a pool and tennis courts. He was right next to the tennis courts. His house was. So we were all the time farting around and stuff, and on one occasion we were what they call it a racist term, as knocking on someone's door. They call it, black people insulted the N-word, knocking, right? So we'd all the time playing pranks on people, knocking on their door, and we would hide. We did all kind of crazy, stupid shit as kids. We rolled everyone's house in the neighborhood with toilet paper. We egged houses. We blew up mailboxes. I mean, we was, you could imagine what I was like as a kid. Mischievous, always into something. Always loved fireworks. Loved blowing stuff up. As I've discussed, I loved to set stuff on fire. Just always into something, right? So this was my childhood. And so Chris had this friend, this ultra weird dude, okay? Come to find out, so he has this friend that he had grown up with from wherever. Even back in the day, I wasn't even really much aware to what gay is, right? But Chris's friend was gay. So Chris's friend would come over all the time. Every time he'd come over, it'd be some weird shit. He was always on some weirdo shit, right? Every time. Got down to it would get a little more weirder every visit, right? This guy was coming over and, would spend the weekend with Chris, yada, yada, yada. So Chris's friend comes for this visit, and now Chris's buddy's a little bit bigger than Chris, bigger than me too, right? He's, he could handle either one of us one-on-one, right? So we're running through the house and we're carrying on, and we'd be running around screaming and having a good old time, wacky kids. And so he had this dog, this little Doberman Pinscher, would chase us around. We have a good old time. But his friend was a weirdo. So he was all the time doing this weird kind of gay shit. It got down to where, God, I can still think of it to the day. Okay, so they're doing like a nude run through the house now, right? No shit, honest God. This guy's like stripping Chris of his clothes, right? Doing like all kind of great gay hanky-panky shit. And he's running through the house naked. And so he gets, somehow he cons Chris into getting into this, gets into this cabinet, right? Just about everyone's gonna know what I'm talking about. In your average houses, you've got, say, the fireplace, and then you have like a cabinet to either side of that, right? So, okay, everyone's got that envisioned in their head. Those cabinets that are right next to, on either side of a fireplace in a house, okay? So this guy gets Chris up in there. I don't remember the circumstances. Either he conned him into getting in there, however it was, I don't recall. But he got Chris to get into the cabinet. And Chris was in there for hours and hours and shit, right? And so, we're making fun and, not letting him out. And, our backs are up against the wall. I remember it's not up against the door sometimes. So, we're keeping him locked in there. And then the guy tells Chris, says, Okay, the only way I'm gonna let you out is there's a cabinet and there's a drawer on top of the cabinet, right? This kid tells Chris, all right, you gotta give me shorts. You gotta put your shorts in the cabinet and then in the top drawer, and then he opens the drawer and then he takes your shorts, right? So he does that. He gets Chris to take off his shorts and he puts it in. He's in that underneath cabinet and he can't get out, but he can reach his hand, and put his shorts in the that drawer, the drawer above him. So he puts his shorts in there, opens the thing, takes his shorts out. Then the guy says, okay, now your underwear. Oh man, come on, dude. So he made Chris give up his underwear, and he did. He put it up in that, like I said, in the top dresser drawer and pulled it out. And so now Chris is in there butt naked and he's taunting him and all that. So he as soon as he's got his underwear, he lets him out, right? And you could envision what I'm saying. You just had to be there, It was just too damn funny. And so when he gets out, the guy's chasing him now. Chris is naked and this dude's chasing him all over the house. So envision that one. That I didn't want to let that one go. That had to be in there with who did my jigger? With Roger Wilcox. I had to put that in there. And I wanted to say put nude run, but I can't, If my wife's seen that, she don't see every video, so, I can say some of the stuff. It's never, unless I'm playing it back, she won't hear it. She's not watching my video. She don't give a damn. So, but I can't put nude run on on the description. I never can do that, but, so this is nude run part 2. So that's what it was. Just some silly gay shit all the time. Like I said, we were horrible kids, We did all kind of mean, crazy shit to one another, to neighbors. One of the times we were knocking on Chris's door one night, and his dad knows now, and so his dad's gonna play a prank on us. We go to knock on his door and go and hide in the bushes, and his dad comes out with a shotgun. So he scared the shit out of us. We didn't know, but he had already, he knew we were gonna, and knock the door. So he come out there with a shotgun, and freaked us all out. We were just hiding, but so he came out to where he knew where we were with the shotgun and scared the shit out of us. So we had good times as kids. We was always into some shit. A lot of other stories. We was always doing crazy shit. One of the times it was snowing and we had a neighborhood snowball fight, right? And so the guy Mike that I talked about and the girl Nadine that I talked about, the ugly girl, we all got in this huge snowball fight. And Mike pegs her and gives her a black eye with a snowball, right? So, of course, the whole neighborhood was in on that one. Like I said, huge neighborhood snowball fight. And he blackens this girl's eyes with busts her in the head with a snowball. We had killer times. I had a couple more to go with it, but those are some of the best. Those are some of the best childhood pranks. But like I said, we was all the time doing stupid shit like that. We'd sneak out, roll people's houses. We egg people's houses. We'd get dog shit and set it on fire and put it on people's front porch, ring the doorbell and run off. We did all that kind of crazy ass shit. Yeah, I don't know if kids and people know about that this day and time. You get dog shit, you put it in a bag, and you set it on fire and put it on someone's porch and run. And we did that many a days. So those were awesome times. We did all kind of crazy shit. Like I said, my house was the third house in the neighborhood being built. It was also the third or fourth house on the right. So it was close to the front of the neighborhood. So all the time we're up at the front of the neighborhood sneaking out, and we'd play dead. Somebody would sit in the road, lay in the road like they were dead, right? Until a car would come, and a car would come and get out and stop, and then they would get up and run off, and it would freak people out. It was all the time doing stupid shit like that, egging cars, throwing rocks at cars, playing dead man in the road. Those were good times. Comment, tell me what your childhood was like. Mine, like I said, is D is my as adulthood. Stay ADD, fam. Ha ha!